Hello and welcome to the Unwrap Week 9. I'm Randy Schmidt, here as always with Tom Genrick. Welcome, Tom. How are you doing?
Good. How are we doing tonight, Randy?
Good. We're coming down the home stretch with this league. We just had Week 9. We're going into Week 10, which is the last weekend of regular season play, and then we have a 2-round playoff. Do you have? I know Mike, the commissioner, has kind of come up with kind of what the playoff will look like. Can you frame it up for us just a little bit?
Yeah, it's the schedule's still a little bit of a work in progress. My understanding is a couple of play-in rounds on Monday and Tuesday of this coming week. I think the bottom maybe 3-4 teams. It's got to be at least 2. Can't be 3. So maybe the bottom 4 teams in each division are going to play Monday and Tuesday night for a chance to play in the first round of the playoffs, which is next Sunday.
Yep.
And then those games will play down to basically, I don't know if it's going to be semis or just finals in each division the following Sunday.
Yep.
But like you said, a couple games early this week, and then next 2 weekends after this, there'll be playoff games. And then I think Mike's got an all-star game and some kind of quality hit contest going on the championship weekend that Saturday. So there'll be some events on Saturday for teams as well.
Yeah, it should be a fun last few weeks. And obviously Major League Baseball's back, and so there's just baseball fever going on. So it'll be fun to kind of wrap up the indoor season and then start practicing with teams and get ready to get outside. So it's exciting time of year for sure. Let's go to the website here, which is again indoorbaseballex.com. I hope everybody knows that by now. Here let's cover the kind of results from last week first. If you go to the standings page and you go on this click here button, from there you can sort by division. We're going to go American first, and we're going to go to the last week's results. And from here we can kind of see how these wins and losses kind of got divvied out. So again, you're competing against the whole league. So like for instance, the Legends here got 35 wins and 4 losses, 1 tie. They're having a really good season, and you can kind of see what that looks like week to week. You could check in on your own team. You can also filter by just your team and see what you did. So yeah, anything jump out at you with this American League group? I feel like the Hitmen have had a pretty solid season, but they maybe didn't have a great week. Is there other ones that kind of jump out to you? Pressures.
Well, I guess maybe the Crystal Cubs. They went 26-12. I think I'm not exactly sure where their record is, but I don't think they've got a 675 winning percentage in the standings. So I think looks like they had a pretty good week.
Yeah, definitely. And the Knights have a couple of player of the year type candidates, right? But they just didn't have a great week this week.
Yeah, we'll get into that a little bit later, but they actually, one of their guys was player of the week this week, but player of the week award doesn't always map up with baseball performance. That's something we'll talk about. But that kind of reflected this week. What's that?
It's outperforming yourself, right?
Yes, right.
Not the opponent necessarily.
Right.
We'll go to the National League here, and Cardinals. I checked in briefly on Twitch and saw they had like 10 runs in the 8th inning. So they must have had a couple monster games, as you can see. I'm sorry, that was the Cardinals I saw the Sea Donkeys had 10 runs in the 8th inning in one of their games. But yeah, they had a big week with 25 wins. The Cardinals had 38 wins, and Mammoth 26, Ducks 23, and so on and so forth. It actually looks like the Grays had a solid week, and Skeeters picked up 3 wins, and it's just fun to see the breakdown so you can see why you're moving up or down in the standings.
Yeah. Randy, you and I talked before the show, and this is probably a page that we should have talked about when we were doing the standing stuff, because this really is a snapshot of the previous week. And we were kind of casting about in previous shows, wondering aloud how teams did when we just could have come to this page and seen it.
Right.
I mean, we only built the website, right? How would we know that this page was there? We only built the website. But
it's like when you're too deep in, you can't see every before.
Right. Right. Yeah.
The one big news item is Emery's back from rehab, and his I think he had surgery and he was back and started making noise already. So I'm sure that gave a big boost to the Sea Donkeys, to go along with the already talented lineup. So we'll definitely cover
Yeah,
that.
I don't know that Mike has any minimum games played requirements, but I think Emery's going to get 3 games, and that may be enough in any event. But
Yeah.
that's going to be a boost, right? And
Oh, yeah.
for their playoff chances, having Emery in that lineup. I mean, with the possible exception of Tom Corcoran, I don't know that there's a more powerful hitter in the 65 division than Emery when he's healthy.
No, those are the 2 best hitters, I think, in the league is Emery and Cork. And seeing them play against each other in a playoff is going to be a lot of fun if it comes to that. So yeah, and the playoffs are going to be a lot of fun too, just because it's going to be heads up, right? Where we've been doing so much of this, like, see how you do against everybody else. Where when it's heads up and it's in person, it'll be really fun to see how people do. So yeah, looking forward to that. Again, we've been running the fantasy stuff. I think it's been a lot of fun. And again, you can just go to the fantasy page on the left-hand side here, brings up the fantasy portion of the website. You can log in and make your selections anytime before Friday night, and pick your players. You're picking your starters and then some alternates, I should say, in case people don't make it that week. So it's been a lot of fun. And yeah, Tom, do you have any kind of thoughts on how it's going, or what you're enjoying about it or not enjoying about it?
Well, one of the things I like about it is, when we talk to people about fantasy, they recognize that there's actually a strategy in this. It's not just about picking the best players, and it's not just about throwing a dart and hoping you get lucky. The people who are winning these weeks, have gone enough into the weeds in terms of understanding the scoring system. It's not that complicated, but they understand it well enough to know who they should be targeting. So
Right.
I like the fact that it's a league that has some depth, right? It requires a certain amount of strategy, to have success in it. But I don't think it's so much strategy that it's overwhelming.
Right.
You have to understand the scoring system. Again, it's not that complicated. But once you understand it, it lends itself to different approaches and different strategies. So in that respect, I think it's been very successful. Now, we're not getting dozens of applicants. Well, I guess we are. We're getting maybe 24 a week.
Yeah, nice. We got a pretty good showing this last week. But yeah, I get what you're saying. We haven't had a ton of interest yet, but it's something we're hoping to grow and hopefully it gets bigger and bigger. I mean, we probably have, right, 25 teams here or something like that, or 25 people playing in this. So I think my problem is I keep taking myself. I did take myself, and I'm in the bottom handful here. So I might have to adjust my strategy, maybe not take myself here. But yeah, just I want to kind of frame it up like this. This is actually the ideal lineup, and we'll kind of jump over to like who people took here in a second. But Sam Johnson, has anybody had 258 points in a week before?
No, but nobody has had the emergence, the blossoming that Sam Johnson has had. Now, if you go to Sam Johnson's player page, nothing comes up, and it's because, I don't want to embarrass Sam, but he had so many strikeouts early on in the season that the code that I wrote didn't anticipate it, frankly. So
right,
it's kind of short-circuited the page, his player page, in that respect.
He's the glitch. Maybe that can be his nickname.
Yeah, a little glitch in the matrix. But Dale actually responded to one of our tweets this week when we mentioned, I think we mentioned Sam in relation to fantasy, and Dale said that it took Sam a while to figure out the cage, but he's really figured it out, and he really has figured it out. I think he's in the tail of the tape this week. So wow. We talked at the start of the season in regards to fantasy, how it takes players a while to get accustomed to the cage. And I mean, Sam is exhibit A.
Yep.
He's gone from not being able to make solid contact to hitting home runs. So that's reflected in that fantasy score.
Yeah, I'll leave him nameless, but we had a guy come back and start playing again, and it just takes a while to get going, right? Like it takes a while to get the timing down and everything, and then once they get a feel for it, they're a monster in there again. And maybe that's what's happened with Sam. That's what happened with my other unnamed person, and I've been through that too. I think I swung and missed 20 times in a row when I first jumped in that cage a few years ago. So we've all been there, and it's cool to see Sam thriving now. And you can, and this second, or I'm sorry, the first number here is like the multiplier for fantasy. So he's got, so what he had a kind of a tough start, got the multiplier of 6. Now he's crushing the ball, so he's putting up the record numbers, right? And that's the idea.
It's his multiplier is down to a 4 this week. So, the system is recognizing that he's better than a 6 times player. His multiplier is starting to, come back to where it should be relative to his talent level. So I still think he's a bargain this week. I think the winning roster may end up having Sam Johnson again, but we'll see.
Yeah, definitely. And again, so if we go back to the fantasy league page on indoorbaseballx.com, you can kind of see here. This is week 9, and here's your top handful of winners here. This is who again?
Steve Kleppen.
Oh, that's Klep's username. Okay.
Yeah.
Did he take himself? No, he didn't. But he definitely had Sam in there, right? That's got to be Sam with the 258. Is that Rob Jones, who is also in our list of ideal people to have? And then Jack Nelson came in second here. And then that's Dale, or is that
yeah, that is Dale. It's not Bjorn. I checked, it's Dale.
Okay. And then Court just on
the
outside,
it's interesting that it's interesting that Klepp didn't pick himself. You're taking this fantasy seriously when you don't bet on yourself, right? Like I bet on myself every week because I'm not going to not bet on myself, but
he could be like Casey Johnson. He takes himself and then he wins, and everybody else took Casey. So that happened this year too.
Right.
But yeah, it's been a lot of fun, and we're going to continue it here this week. We won't do it for the playoffs. So this is week 10 will be the last week of the fantasy, I believe. Unless we come up with something crazy for the playoff portion, but I believe this will be it. So get your picks in fast as time's ticking on when we'll close the window when you can enter. So, but yeah, that's been a really cool wrinkle to things this year. Yeah, so that kind of wraps up the fantasy portion. Next, we'll go to the awards, and so here's kind of an overview of most valuable player and player of the season for the American division. Again, we see Scott. I think he took the lead like early on in the most valuable player category and kind of held on the whole year, didn't he?
Yeah, he dropped behind 1 week because they didn't actually play, and then the next week they ended up playing 4 games, so they caught up. So I think, but for that 1 week, he and Eric Lundgren have been mainstays at the top of this. John Novak's been a mover. He goes by sprints.
Sprints.
He's definitely climbed. The other name here is Julian Ovidio. I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce that. He plays with the Mavericks. We did their games. We were on Mike last year on Monday nights watching him play, and he can really hit.
He does. So he's got a big swing. He's strong. He hits the ball hard. He's a right-handed hitter, I think, right? He swings. He's got kind of a longer swing, and he can really crush the ball.
Yeah, I mean, he lives in the mid to upper 80s when he's on. So I'm not surprised to see him on this screen.
Yeah, definitely. And then we'll go to the player of the season. Chris is still in first, and again, like I said, 2 nights of I think they've been in first and second now for at least a few weeks. And you actually talked to Chris recently, right?
Yeah, I had a nice conversation with Chris. We were talking a little bit about the metrics or the formula behind this, and he told me that early on he was a little confused because it didn't seem to him that the player of the week or the player of the season points were necessarily correlating with his performances. And he said he had to kind of read a little bit more about it and spend a little bit more time thinking about it to understand that it's not about HitTrax points. It's about improvement in exit velocity.
Yeah.
And the result of that is you can go 0 for 6, but if you barrel the ball those 6 times and your exit velocity is higher than last week when you had 4 flares, you're probably going to do better, that 0 for 6 week from a player of the season perspective than you are, a soft 4 for 6. So
right.
he just told me it took him a little while to understand the the formula. And, by the end of the conversation, he talked me even further in the direction of maybe next year going to a point, we can still do improvement every week, but I think it may make more sense to do it in terms of points.
Yep.
Your improvement in points rather than exit velocity, because exit velocity is a component of points.
Right.
And then points also captures all the other elements of success in baseball.
Like result and all these other things.
Right.
Like
right.
I think we did see a 0-point base hit though, I think last week, didn't we? Wasn't there like a chopper that I can't remember who hit it actually.
That was something we were talking about around the cage last Friday night. It'd be very easy. I should do it. I should just run a query and see how many 0-point base hits there's been. I doubt there's been too many. Mabel Metrics, those guys, Cork and Casey, they've been doing that kind of analysis all season long. And I should just say, if you're not familiar with their stuff, you should check them out on Twitter, because we kind of outsource some of the statistical analysis to those guys, and they do a really nice job and a really fun job with some of the stats that we've got.
Yeah, that they're like a must follow on Twitter if you're like an amateur baseball player in the Twin Cities. It's a lot of fun to see the stuff they come up with and the way they present the numbers and the data from all this stuff. So yeah, it's a good one to follow. We'll go to the National League here. And actually, just before I do, there is medal counts on this as well, which is kind of fun. And maybe there's another show we'll kind of dive into what these IBEX medals are. Actually, do you want to just touch on it right now quick? Maybe we haven't explained this too much in the previous shows.
Yeah, very quickly. We have 5 metrics like exit velocity consistency, distance, OPS. And just as the Player of the Week award is you get points based on how much you improve over your exit velocity baseline coming into the week. These medals are based on the same concept, where we're taking these 5 metrics, we're looking at your improvement against your baseline across these 5 metrics. And if you're a top 3 improver in any one of these metrics, you get a medal, a gold, a silver, or a bronze.
Yeah, very cool. And you could see these medals on the player cards as well, so you could view them that way, or you could kind of see the counts here. And this would just be specific to this season, right? Where like the player card might show medals for their career. Is that right?
That's right. This chart is just this season, and then on the player card we have an area where we accumulate all the medals. We also have an area on that player card for baseball card Hall of Famers, and Rob Jones was asking me, what does a guy have to do to get a Hall of Fame player? I'm asking, what do I have to do? And I told him, the Hall of Fame thing, we kind of pulled that this year, and we're gonna reconstitute it. Think about it this off season. So I told him, we'll probably backfill his Hall of Fame section, assuming he warrants Hall of Famers. I told him maybe he should expect like a lesser Hall of Famer, like a Harold Baines or a Bert Blyleven.
Oh man, Harold Baines, he's a great Hall of Famer in my opinion. But I get your point. He actually, Rob, just he was on the fantasy ultimate lineup, and
he was.
Maybe,
this week he might be worthy of I don't know, like a Willie Mays or a Mantle, but I like giving Rob a hard time. So I promised him maybe a Harold. I told him I'd probably try to game the system or game the reconstitution of the approach so that he ends up with a Harold Baines. That would be the goal. So
Baines was I'm thinking Eddie Murray was a switch here. Baines wasn't, right?
No, I mean, Baines was just added, and in the sabermetrics community there was a lot of consternation, or a lot of not unrest, but a lot of disbelief or unhappiness in some quarters that he made it. I mean, I think he's about as fringy a Hall of Famer as you'll find in the Hall of Fame. Yeah. I mean, he was a good player though. I grew up watching him. He was a solid player for a lot of years. He was a compiler though, rather than.
It was a long time. It's kind of the Bert Blyleven.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. The Bert Blyleven of offense. Yeah.
And then we'll go to the National League overview here. Corcoran is in first. Keith Bistodo, our guest of a couple weeks ago, is in second. Kleps in third. It kind of goes on from there. And that stayed again. That's getting pretty cemented. It feels this group here in the MVP race.
Yeah, it's going to be hard for anybody. I mean, Cork's playing tonight, so I would say this is as close to a mortal lock as you're going to find in these awards. Cork's, I mean, I guess Bjorn, if we just hop over to that player of the season, the 65, that's a mortal lock as well, assuming he plays, I think. So
Yeah, even if he doesn't
Well-
play, I feel like he probably has.
yeah, although, with the multiplier thing we have in the formula, this is a week where you can score a lot of points. Like this is probably the week where you can score the most points, although you've also had 9 weeks to establish your baseline. So on the
Yeah.
player of the week side, it's hard to exceed your baseline by that much. But
And just a reminder, we have our Twitter at Indoor Baseball X, and Bjorn was actually the player of the week. So he's not only is he on top for player of the season, but he was also player of the week last week. So
he's been player of the week for three times. I talked to Rob really quickly about Bjorn. I talked to Rob Jones about that today, and he had told me he thought earlier on in the season, he thought strikeouts were being counted in our exit velocity calculations. And because Bjorn had a lot of strikeouts early on, that set his baseline so low that it allowed him to accumulate a lot of, these awards, these player of the week and player of the season. But in fact, we aren't counting strikeouts. Bjorn just had some really low exit velocities his first couple of weeks. And
Yep.
He's just built off of that to make 3 appearances in the player of the week column, which is really impressive.
Really cool. Yeah, definitely. And just while I'm here in the 55 division, Tom Schorberl, how do you say his last name, Tom? You're
I do not know,
but
I know it's Chris Munshaw's, I think brother-in-law.
Oh, okay.
That I do know. So they both play on the Knights.
Okay, cool. Yeah, and he won the 55 division player of the week. And again, you can find a lot of cool stuff on Twitter. For instance, dugout splinters is always fun. You can see how many at bats there were this week and the batting average of everybody that played and the unluckiest hit and the hardest hit and all that. It's the dugout splinters is like my favorite tweet of the week. And we also have our tail of tape. We'll get to that in a second, but yeah, I just wanted to highlight the Twitter for a second there. Make sure you follow us there. And then yeah, I think the next thing we'll do is go to standings. I know we kind of covered how the results were last week, but we'll go with that knowledge now. Go back to standings, cover this quickly. Legends, Crushers, Norsemen, and I think they're in a position with 1 week left to probably get the number 1 seed. And I think you even mentioned there was buys, right? Or they wouldn't at least play in the playing portion of things.
Right. I mean, I know Mike is putting this together. I don't know exactly what he intends, other than I think everyone's going to have a shot at getting at least one playoff game, whether it be a play-in game or you're part of the bracket, without being a play-in. So, on the one hand, it's cool to finish at the top of these standings, but on the other hand, the winner of the league is going to be determined by the playoffs, not by their finish during the regular season.
You got to get them the pennant, for winning the regular season and get them on a team page, which we don't have.
Well, team pages are coming. That's something that we got to build into this site at some point.
Yeah, cool. And then National League, Mammoth, Cardinals, Sea Donkeys. Sea Donkeys are extremely scary now. Emery's back, and Cardinals always dangerous. Mammoth have been a little down the last few weeks. I'm a big reason why, but hopefully we'll bounce back here before the playoff this weekend. And then kind of rounding out the top half, we got North Stars, Merchants. Merchants are my dark horse too to win, right? Like, I don't know what the odds are on them winning the whole thing in the playoff, but I wouldn't mind putting some money on them to win this whole thing because they got some really good hitters, and I feel like they could win a single game against anybody. So it'll be a really fun playoff. I'm interested to see how that all goes. And even
I would say if you're going to sleep on one team, it's probably safe to sleep on the Skeeters. I don't expect to see. I don't really expect to see the Skeeters get out of the play-in round if they manage to make the play-in round. I mean, maybe if the last team in the division doesn't make it, we may not even make it. But
you guys did add some power to the lineup though recently, and Kenny's healthy, coming back from his knee, and you kind of have a guy that can, crush a double every once in a while and clear the bases. So you just never know. I shouldn't be
I mean,
selling
but
you on Skeeter Hope. You should be selling me on Skeeter Hope here, by the way.
all I was saying is like if these game lines somehow end up in Vegas and you're down there March Madness this week and you see game lines for IBEX, I would not advise putting much money on the Skeeters. That's all I'm. That's my tip of the week.
Yeah, it would be fun to see lines on these games.
We'll know we'll know we've made it, Randy,
In the
if
sport
Vegas
book.
starts putting lines out on these games. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. We'll go next to the records. Unless I haven't actually dug into the records. Are you aware of any records that happened this recently here?
I didn't look this week. I got it up. I'll just run through them really quick here.
Yeah. I got single swing and yeah, I don't see anything there.
Be that in the game would be the place you'd see him. I mean, every week, like Cork is adding to his season totals, which are
Right.
records, but
Yeah.
yeah, I don't think there was any
Oh.
anything this week.
Which is interesting. I would think people would like get really by this point be like really good. And I for myself, I started off the season like pretty good for my own abilities and then have really tapered off as the season goes on, which is interesting. I would think I would get better, get more used to it, but it's not the case, Tom. What's going on?
Well, part of it is we're old men and fatigue sets in. Part of it, I think, are the baseballs. I mean, we're not, I think everybody who plays in the league understands that, when we're not cycling in new baseballs very frequently,
Right.
If you're playing, if it's the third or fourth week of the same baseballs, it's hard to generate, the exit velocities that you do with fresh baseballs, and everything kind of compounds off those exit velocities. So that might explain a little bit too.
I'm glad you're blaming the baseballs and not me. I appreciate it. Okay. And then next I think we'll cover the tail of the tape portion, which is kind of everybody's favorite, I feel like. There's quite a few home runs here this week. Thanks, Tom Corcoran, for clipping all these for us. And actually, I think is this the first week we don't have a Tom Corcoran home run? Looks like it. But you can see the links here. We're going to run through just a few of these. I like Valentino's swing, so I'm going to get him first. He had a 321-foot home run. He's been hot here last couple weeks. And he got another one at Yankee Stadium, 321. And look at these 3 for 4. Juan's batting after him, and Juan's a good hitter too. But yeah, nice stroke. And he's kind of amassed quite a few home runs now this year. And then next we'll kind of do one for each player here. Next we got Eric Lundgren. This is Houston, right? Yeah, that was a good shot. 329 by Lundgren, which is pretty cool. Watch it one more time here. Boom. He's got a lot of home runs. We'll have to check the totals on him. And next, Emery coming back. He got a hold of this one and is looking healthy, which is good to see. And 331 down the line. And that's nothing for Emery, by the way. He'll hit him 400 feet. The guy can mash, so give him more and more time to get more and more healthy. And look at this lineup, by the way, by the Sea Donkeys. This is what I'm talking about for the playoff. And they got 10 runs, 8th inning. Everybody's got multiple hits. They're gonna be scary.
Yeah, I mean, they were good before Emery, and the Ed Emery. I mean, they're dangerous.
That'll be interesting to see how they do. Actually, Emery had a couple. I said he had one, but John Novak. Oh no, we can't skip Diamond Dan. We'll get him here quick. Diamond Dan has a few home runs this year. Oh man, he almost looked like that was like a level swing, but caught the ball perfect.
It almost looked like he hit it out in front and he hit the bottom half of the ball.
It did. It didn't look like he swung down. Watch.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. But yeah, he crushed that thing. Probably had some backspin, which HitTrax doesn't pick up, but a good celebration too there. Actually, the celebration of the week's kind of that. But Diamond Dan, that's no surprise that he's showing some emotion.
No, if he hits a home run, I would expect him to be celebration of the week every week. We should almost just call it the Diamond Dan celebration of the week, for that matter.
And actually, I'm just looking at his jersey. Is that Is that a San Diego or is that the new? Is there a new Sea Donkey jersey there? That is this breaking news, or is that a like a San Diego Padre jersey there?
Well, it does say SD, so it could be either, right?
Right. I don't know if that's supposed to be public knowledge or not, but that's pretty sweet. Whatever it is, I hope it's a Sea Donkey jersey. Those are nice. And then we'll move up here. John Novak. He's had a few home runs this year as well, and we'll see another one here. He's got like a compact swing, 2 hands on the bat all the way through. He's short, starts short, ends short. Just I don't know. He's done this a bunch this year, and it's really like a.
He's just really it's simple and it's consistent. Like I bet in real baseball, he's a high average guy.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he hits home runs, but with that swing, I'd be surprised if he's not at the very least a high average hitter.
Yeah, it just looks like he's, I don't know. Yeah, short to the ball and he's barreling it, and he probably does it very often. Look at this lineup, by the way, how well they're doing. The Norsemen, watch out for them in the playoff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mike Santis,
yeah,
7 for 10 for Dustin. There's some serious hitting going on here. So yeah, that's pretty cool. And then let's see, we'll keep on moving here. We'll check out Emery's second home run. Actually, I don't know if it was his first or second, but yep, you can just tell his power. That ball was up too, launching out 39. So again, these guys might be a good pick for a run in the playoff, that's for sure. And that one is that Wrigley? No. Yeah, that's Wrigley. It's getting it done in a few different parks.
Yeah, I think it's at Wrigley. Yep.
And then we'll start speeding up here. Well, Sam Johnson, the fantasy he's a left-handed hitter. Oh geez, he's a big dude, and the tip of the cap to the homer too. That was just a nice easy stroke, it looked like. I've never seen him hit, so sorry. I'm just kind of taking it in for the first time.
No, I saw it too. He gets that front foot down and he gets that heel planted, which is, what you're supposed to do.
Yeah. He opens his hips, like that's the big thing. He's squared up, boom. It's probably pretty strong. It was pretty big. 91 miles an hour. 356 feet at Yankee Stadium. It would have probably been gone about anywhere. So yeah, really cool that Sam's playing well, swinging it well. And then we'll go with Justin Freiholtz. I hope I'm saying it right. I don't know if Justin has a home run this year. Maybe he does, and
no, this is his first home run.
Okay,
I'm almost positive.
Fry Daddy.
He goes by Fry Daddy. Yeah.
Okay, look at it. Yeah. Did he celebrate after that? I missed it. I was watching the path of the ball.
I think he flips the bat. I think I was watching this earlier this week.
Oh, he did. Oh, he was just gonna pick up baseballs.
It's humdrum enough for him that he just kind of drops the bat and collects the baseballs. I'd be doing pirouettes. I'd be doing cartwheels if I did that. But he just bends over to pick up the baseballs.
Yeah, he crushed that one too. 359 on that one. Let's watch it one more time.
That's another dangerous lineup because they got Sam Knight.
Yeah.
They got Adam Riance. They got guys who can really hit the ball.
Yeah, they'll be a dangerous team in the playoff as well. We'll jump up here to we'll do a Sam Knight home run here for the last one. We'll get the 300.
Sam had a couple, I think. Right?
Yeah, we'll get the 380 footer. This is the big shot of the week. Wow, that is a pretty swing. 380 feet, 95 exit velocity. See that one again. Boom.
I mean, that's got to be top 10% of IBEX home runs.
Yeah, and he's
we've had longer ones, but that's in a good percentile in terms of the spectrum of home runs.
Yeah, he crushes that ball. And he's got a lot of home runs this year as well. I know I think Cork's leading the way, but Sam's right up there, and obviously he's up there in MVP and everything else. So yeah, that was really cool. Again, if you want to check out these clips, thanks again, Tom Corcoran, for clipping them this week for us. But we tweet them out on our Twitter handle here, and you can check out those for each week going back. So kind of a nice way to archive all these home runs. Yeah, that was very cool. And am I missing anything, Tom? I think that's a lot of what I wanted to cover.
No, I think we trotted through that fairly smartly. It
We
wasn't a
tried.
full gallop, but it was more than a canter. I don't know
Yeah.
where that puts us, but we got through a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, very cool. Well, good. This weekend, get your fantasy lineups in, and then look forward to the playoff. That's going to be a lot of fun. And then I think they're going to mix in like an all-star game, like you mentioned, and a quality hit game. So definitely look into the details for that. I'm sure they'll put it on Twitter, both at Mike's the Hit Club Twitter handle, and we'll try to provide some information on ours as well. So check that out. And yeah, looking forward to week 10 and looking forward to the playoff. And thanks, Tom. And yeah, thanks for everybody watching this. And we'll see you again next week. Have a good one.